In delivering my son from me, I bury a second husband.
And I in going, madam, weep o'er my father's death anew, but I must attend his majesty's command, to whom I am now in ward.
You shall find of the king a husband, madam. You, sir, a father.
What hope is there of his majesty's amendment?
He hath abandoned his physicians, madam.
This gentlewoman had a father whose skill was almost as great as his honesty. Would for the king's sake he were living. I think it would be the death of the king's disease.
How called you the man you speak of, madam?
He was famous, sir, in his profession, Gerard de Narbonne.
He was excellent indeed, madam. The king very lately spoke of him admiringly and mourningly.
What is it, my good lord, the king languishes of?
A fistula, my lord. Was this gentlewoman the daughter of Gerard de Narbonne?
His sole child, my lord, and bequeathed to my overlooking. His dispositions she inherits, which makes fair gifts fairer. In her they are the better for their simpleness.
Your commendations, madam, get from her tears.
The remembrance of her father never approaches her heart, but the tyranny of her sorrows take all livelihood from her cheek. No more of this, Helena, lest it be rather thought you affect a sorrow than have it.
I do affect a sorrow indeed, but I have it too.
Moderate lamentation is the right of the dead, excessive grief the enemy to the living.
Madam, I desire your holy wishes.
Be thou blessed, Bertram, and succeed thy father in manners as in shape. Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. Farewell, my lord. 'Tis an unseasoned courtier. Good my lord, advise him.
He cannot want the best that shall attend his love.
Heaven bless him. Farewell, Bertram.
The best wishes that can be forged in your thoughts be servants to you. Be comfortable to my mother.
Farewell, pretty lady. You must hold the credit of your father.
Oh, were that all! I think not on my father, and these great tears grace his remembrance more than those I shed for him. What was he like? I have forgot him. My imagination carries no favor in it but Bertram's. I am undone. There is no living, none, if Bertram be away. 'Twere all one that I should love a bright particular star and think to wed it he is so above me. The hind that would be mated by the lion must die for love. 'Twas pretty, though plague, to see him every hour, to sit and draw his arched brows, his hawking eye, his curls. But now he's gone, and my idolatrous fancy must sanctify his relics. Who comes here? One that goes with him. I love him for his sake, and yet I know him a notorious liar, think him a great way fool, solely a coward. Yet these fixed evils sit so fit in him that they take place when virtue's steely bones look bleak in the cold wind. Full oft we see in cold wisdom waiting on superfluous folly.
Save you, fair queen.
And you, monarch.
Are you meditating on virginity?
Aye. You have some stain of soldier in you. Let me ask you a question. Man is enemy to virginity. How may we barricado it against him?
Keep him out.
But he assails, and our virginity, though valiant in the defense, yet is weak. Unfold to us some more like resistance.
There is none. It is not politic in the commonwealth of nature to preserve virginity. Loss of virginity is rational increase, and there was never a virgin got till virginity was first lost.
I will stand for it a little, though therefore I die a virgin.
There's little can be said in it. 'Tis against the rule of nature. To speak on the part of virginity is to accuse your mothers, which is most infallible disobedience. Besides, virginity is peevish, proud, idle, made of self-love, which is the most inhibited sin in the canon. Keep it not. You cannot choose but lose by it. Out with't.
How might one do, sir, to lose it to her own liking?
Let me see. Virginity, like an old courtier wears her cap out of fashion, richly suited but unsuitable, just like the brooch and the toothpick, which wear not now. Will you anything with it?
Not my virginity yet. There shall your master have 1,000 loves, a mother and a mistress and a friend, a guide, a goddess and a sovereign, his faith, his sweet disaster with a world that blinking Cupid gossips. And now shall he, I know not what he shall, God send him well. The court's a learning place, and he is one
What one in faith?
that I wish well.
Monsieur Parolles, my lord calls for you.
Little Helen, farewell. If I can remember thee, I will think of thee at court.
Monsieur Parolles, you were born under a charitable star.
Under Mars, I.
I especially think under Mars.
Why under Mars?
The wars have so kept you under that you must needs be born under Mars.
When he was predominant.
When he was retrograde, I think rather.
Why think you so?
You go so much backwards when you fight.
That's for advantage.
So is running away. When fear proposes the safety, but the composition that your valor and fear makes in you is a virtue of a good wing, and I like the wear well.
I am so full of businesses, I cannot answer thee acutely. I will return, perfect courtier. When thou hast leisure, say thy prayers. When thou hast none, remember thy friends. Get thee a good husband and use him as he uses thee. So, farewell.
Our remedies oft in ourselves do lie, which we ascribe to heaven, the fated sky give us free scope. Only doth backwards pull when our slow designs, when we ourselves are dull. What power is it which mounts my love so high, that makes me see and cannot feed mine eye? Impossible be strange attempts to those that weigh their pains in sense, and do suppose what hath been cannot be. Who ever strove so show her merit that did miss her love? The king's disease. My project may deceive me, but my intents are fixed and will not leave me.
The Florentines and Sinois are by the ears, have fought with equal fortune, and continue a braving war. 'Tis most credible. We here received it a certainty vouched from our cousin Austria, with caution that the Florentine will move us for speedy aid.
His love and wisdom approved so to your majesty. May plead for amplest credence.
He hath armed our answer, and Florence is denied before he comes.
It well may serve a nursery to our gentry, who are sick for breathing and exploits.
What's he comes here?
It is the Count Rousillon, my good lord, young Bertram.
Youth, thou bearest thy father's face. Frank nature, rather curious than in haste, hath well composed thee. Thy father's moral parts mayest thou inherit too. Welcome to Paris.
My thanks and duty are your majesty's.
I would I had that corporal soundness now, as when thy father and myself in friendship first tried our soldiership. He lasted long, but on us both did haggish age steal on and wore us out of act. It much repairs me to talk of your good father. In his youth he had the wit which I can well observe today in our good lords, but they may jest till their own scorn return to them unnoted, ere they can hide their levity and honor. So like a courtier, contempt nor bitterness were in his pride or sharpness. Such a man might be a copy to these younger times, which followed well would demonstrate them now, but goers backwards.
His good remembrance, sir, lies richer in your thoughts than on his tomb.
Would I were with him.
You are loved, sir.
I fill a place, I know it. How long is it, Count, since the physician at your father's died? He was much famed.
Some 6 months since, my lord.
If he were living, I would try him yet. Welcome, Count.
Thank you, your majesty.
I will now hear. What say you of this gentlewoman?
Madam, the care I have had to even your content, I wish might be found in the calendar of my past endeavors. For then we wound our modesty to make foul the clearness of our deservings, when of ourselves we publish them.
What does this knave here? Get you gone, Sarah. The complaints I have heard of you, I do not all believe.
'Tis not unknown to you, madam. I am a poor fellow.
Well, sir.
No, madam, 'tis not so well that I am poor, though many of the rich are damned.
Wilt thou needs be a beggar?
I do beg your goodwill in this case.
In what case?
In Isabel's case and my own. Service is no heritage, and I think I shall never have the blessing of God till I have issue o' my body.
Tell me thy reason why thou wilt marry.
My poor body, madam, requires it. I am driven on by the flesh, and he must needs go that the devil drives.
Is this all your worship's reason?
Faith, madam, I have other holy reasons, such as they are.
May the world know them?
I have been, madam, a wicked creature, as you and all flesh and blood are, and indeed I do marry that I may repent.
Thy marriage sooner than thy wickedness.
I am out of friends, madam, and I hope to have friends for my wife's sake.
Such friends are thine enemies, knave.
You're shallow, madam, and great friends. He that ears my land spares my team and gives me leave to in the crop. If I be his cuckold, he's my drudge. He that comforts my wife is the cherisher of my flesh and blood. He that cherishes my flesh and blood loves my flesh and blood. He that loves my flesh and blood is my friend. Ergo, he that kisses my wife is my friend. If men could be contented to be what they are, there were no fear in marriage.
Wilt thou ever be a foul-mouthed and calumnious knave?
A prophet I, madam, and I speak the truth the next way. For I the ballad will repeat, which men full true shall find. Your marriage comes by destiny, your cuckoo sings by kind.
Get you gone, sir. I will talk with you more anon.
May it please you, madam, that he bid Helen come to you?
Oh, Sarah, tell my gentlewoman I would speak with her.
Was this fair face the cause, quoth she? Why the Grecians sacked Troy? Fond done, done fond. Was this King Priam's joy? With that she sighed as she stood. With that she sighed as she stood, and gave this sentence then. Among 9 bad if one be good, among 9 bad if one be good, there's yet one good in 10.
What, 1 good in 10? You corrupt the song, Sarah.
1 good woman in 10, madam, which is a purifying of the song. 1 in 10, quotha. A man may draw his heart out ere pluck a one.
You'll be gone, sir knave, and do as I command you.
That man should be at woman's command, and yet know her done. I'm going, forsooth, the business is for Helen to come hither.
Well, now.
I know, madam. You love your gentlewoman entirely.
Faith, I do. Her father bequeathed her to me, and she herself, without other advantage, may lawfully make title to as much love as she finds. There is more owing her than is paid, and more shall be paid her than she'll demand.
Madam, it was very late, more near her than I think she wished me. Alone she was, and did communicate to herself her own words to her own ears. Her matter was, she loved your son. Fortune, she said, was no goddess that had put such difference betwixt their 2 estates. This she delivered in the most bitter touch of sorrow that I ever heard a virgin exclaim in, which I held my duty speedily to acquaint you withal. It concerns you something to know it.
You charge this honestly. Keep it to yourself. Pray you, leave me, and I thank you for your honest care. I will speak with you further anon. Even so it was with me when I was young. It is the show and seal of nature's truth, where love's strong passion is impressed in youth. By our remembrances of days foregone, such were our faults, or then we thought them none. Her eye is sick on't. I observe her now.
Oh, what is your pleasure, madam?
You know, Helen, I am a mother to you.
Mine honorable mistress.
Nay, a mother. Why not a mother? When I said a mother, methought you saw a serpent. What's in mother that you start at it? I say, I am your mother. You narrow pressed me with a mother's groan, yet I express to you a mother's care. God's mercy, maiden, does it curd thy blood to say I am thy mother? What's the matter? Why, that you are my daughter?
That I am not.
I say I am your mother.
Pardon, madam, the Count Rousillon cannot be my brother. I am from humble, he from honored name. No note upon my parents, his all noble. He must not be my brother.
Nor I your mother.
You are my mother, madam, would you were, so that my lord, your son, were not my brother. Indeed, my mother, or were you both our mothers, so I were not his sister. Can't no other, but I your daughter, he must be my brother?
Yes, Helen, you might be my daughter-in-law. My fear hath catched your fondness. Now I see the mystery of your loneliness and find you love my son. Therefore tell me true, but tell me then 'tis so, for look, thy cheeks confess it the one to the other. Speak, is so? If tell me truly.
Good madam, pardon me.
Do you love my son?
Your pardon, noble mistress.
Love you, my son?
Do not you love him, madam?
Go not about. My love hath into bond, where the world takes note. Come, come, disclose the state of your affection.
Then I confess, here on my knee before high heaven and you, I love your son. My friends were poor but honest, so is my love. Be not offended, I follow him not by any token of presumptuous suit, nor would I have him till I do deserve him. I know I love in vain, strive against hope, yet in this captious and untenable sieve, I still pour in the waters of my love. Let not your hate encounter with my love for loving where you do, but if yourself did ever in so true a flame of liking wish chastely and love dearly, then give pity to her whose state is such that cannot choose, but lend and give where she is sure to lose, that seeks not to find that her search implies, but ridly like lives sweetly where she dies.
Had you not lately an intent, and speak truly, to go to Paris?
Madam, I had.
Wherefore? Tell true.
I will tell truth by grace itself, I swear. You know my father left me some prescriptions of rare and proved effects, and that he willed me with heedful reservation to bestow them. There is a remedy, approved, set down to cure the desperate languishings wherefore the king is rendered lost.
This was your motive for Paris, was it? Speak.
My lord, your son made me to think of this.
But think you, Helen, if you should tender your supposed aid, he would receive it? How shall they credit a poor, unlearned virgin?
There's something in it more than my father's skill, which was the greatest. But give me leave to try success. I'll venture the well-lost life of my own his grace's cure by such a day and hour.
Dost thou believe it?
Aye, madam, knowingly.
Why, Helen, thou shalt have my leave and love, means and attendance, and my loving greetings to those of mine in court. I'll stay home and pray God's blessing into thy attempt.
Farewell, good lords. These warlike principles do not throw from you. And you, my lords, farewell.
'Tis our hope, sir, after well-entered soldiers, to return and find your grace and health.
No, no, it cannot be. Farewell, my lords. Whether I live or die, be you the sons of worthy Frenchmen. See that you come not to woo honor, but to wed it. When the bravest question shrinks, find what you seek, that fame may cry you loud. I say farewell.
Health at your bidding, serve your majesty.
Those girls of Italy, take heed of them.
Our
Our
hearts
hearts
receive
receive your warning.
Farewell.
Oh, my sweet lord, that you will stay behind us.
I am commanded here, and kept a coil with too young, and the next year, and 'tis too early.
And I mind stand to it, boy. Steal away bravely.
I shall stay here the forehorse to a smock, till honor be brought up and no sword worn, but one to dance with. By heaven, I'll steal away.
There's honor in the theft.
Committed, Count.
I am your accessory, and so farewell.
Farewell, Captain.
Sweet Monsieur Paroles.
Noble heroes, my sword and yours are kin. You shall find in the regiment one Captain Spurio with an emblem of war here on his sinister cheek. It was this very sword entrenched it. Say to him I live and observe his reports for me.
We shall, noble Captain.
What will ye do?
Nay, the king.
Use a more spacious ceremony to the noble lords. You have restrained yourself within the list of too cold an adieu. Be more expressive to them. And though the devil lead the measure, such are to be followed. After them, and take a more dilated farewell.
And I will do so.
Worthy fellows, and like to prove most sinewy swordsmen.
Pardon, Highness, for me and for my tidings.
I'll fee thee to stand up.
Good faith across. But, my good lord, 'tis thus. Will you be cured of your infirmity?
No.
Oh, will you eat no grapes, my royal fox? Yes, but you will my noble grapes, and if my royal fox could reach them. I have seen a medicine that's able to breathe life into a stone, quicken a rock, and yea, whose simple touch is powerful to raise King Pepin, nay, to give great Charlemagne a pen in his hand and write to her a love line.
What her is this?
My Dr. She, my lord. There's one arrived, if you will see her. For now I have spoke with one that in her sex, her years, profession, wisdom, and constancy hath amazed me more than I dare blame my weakness. Will you see her?
Now, good LeFou, bring in the admiration. Thus he his special nothing ever prologues. Well, this haste hath wings indeed.
Nay, come your ways. This is his majesty. Say your mind to him.
Now, fair one, does your business follow us?
Aye, my good lord, Gerard de Narbonne was my father, and what he did profess well found.
I knew him.
The rather will I spare his praises towards him, knowing him is enough. On's bed of death many receipts he gave me, chiefly one, and hearing your high majesty is touched with that malignant cause wherein the honor of my dear father's gift stands chief in power, I came to tender it and my appliance with all bound humbleness.
We thank you, maiden, but may not be so credulous of cure. When our most learned doctors leave us and the congregated college have concluded that laboring art can never ransom nature from her inaidable estate, I cannot give thee less. To be called grateful, thou thought'st to help me, and such thanks I give as one near death to those that wish him live. But what at full I know, thou knowest no part. I knowing all my peril, thou know art.
What I can do no hurt to try. Since you were set you rest against remedy, oft expectations fail, and most oft there where most it promises, and oft it hits where hope is coldest, and despair most fits.
I must not hear thee. Fare thee well, kind maid.
Dear sir, to my endeavor give consent. Of heaven, not me make an experiment. I'm not an impostor that proclaim myself against the level of mine aim. But know I think, and think I know most sure, my art is not past power, nor you past cure.
Art thou so confident? Within what space hopest thou my cure?
What is infirm from your sound parts shall fly. Health shall live free, and sickness freely die.
Upon thy certainty and confidence, what darest thou venture?
Tax of impudence, a strumpet's boldness, I divulge shame traduced by odious ballads, my maiden's name seared otherwise, nay worse, if worse, extended with vilest torture, let my life be ended.
Methinks in thee some blessed spirit doth speak his powerful sound within an organ weak. Thy life is dear, For all that life can rate, worth name of life in thee hath estimate. Youth, beauty, wisdom, courage, all that happiness and prime can happy call. Sweet practicer, thy physic I will try, that ministers thine own death if I die.
If I break time or flinch in property of what I spoke, unpitied let me die, and well deserved. Not helping, death's my fee. But if I help, what do you promise me?
Make thy demand.
But will you make it even?
Aye, by my scepter and my hopes of heaven.
Then shalt thou give me with thy kingly hand what husband in thy power I will command. Exempted be from me the arrogance to choose from forth the royal blood of France, but such a one, thy vassal whom I know, is free for me to ask, thee to bestow.
Here is my hand. The premises observed, thy will by my performance shall be served. So make the choice of thy own time, for I, thy resolved patient, on thee still rely. Give me some help here, ho. If thou proceed as high as word, my deed shall match thy need.
Come on, sir. I shall now put you to the height of your breeding.
I will show myself highly fed and lowly taught. I know my business is but to the court.
To the court? Why, what place make you special when you put off that with such contempt? But to the court.
Truly, madam, if God have lent a man any manners, he may easily put it off at court. But for me, I have an answer that will serve all men.
Mary, that's a bountiful answer that fits all questions.
It is like a barber's chair that fits all buttocks. The pin buttock, the quatch buttock, the brawn buttock, or any buttock.
Will your answer, sir, fit to all questions?
As fit as 10 groats is for the hand of an attorney, as your French crown for your taffeta punk, as a pancake for Shrove Tuesday, a Morris for May Day, the cuckold to his horn, as a scolding queen to a wrangling knave, as the nun's lip to the friar's mouth.
It must be an answer of most monstrous size that must fit all demands.
But a trifle neither. Ask me if I'm a courtier. Shall do you no harm to learn.
To be young again if we could. I pray you, sir, are you a courtier?
Oh, Lord, sir! There's a simple putting off. More, 100 of them.
Sir, I am a poor friend of yours that loves you.
Oh, Lord, sir! Thick, spare me not.
I think, sir, you can eat none of this homely meat.
I ne'er had worse luck in my life, and my oh Lord, sir. I see things may serve long, but not serve ever.
I play the noble housewife with the time to entertain so merrily with a fool.
Oh Lord, sir. Why, there it serves well again.
An end, sir, to your business. Give Helen this, and urge her to present answer back. Commend me to my kinsman and my son. This is not much.
Not much commendation to them.
Not much employment for you. You understand me?
They say miracles are past, and we have our philosophical persons to make modern and familiar things supernatural and causeless.
Right, so I say.
That gave him out incurable.
Right. As for a man assured of a
uncertain life and sure death.
Just, you say well. So would I have said.
I may truly say it is a novelty to the world.
Indeed it is. If you would have it in showing, you shall read it in, what do you call there?
The showing of a heavenly effect in an earthly actor.
I would have said it. You say well. Here comes the king. Oh, du Venog! Is this not Helen?
For God, I think so.
Go, call before me all the lords in court. Sit, my preserver, by thy patient side, and with this healthful hand, whose banished sense thou hast repealed, a second time receive the confirmation of my promised gift, which but attends thy naming. Fair maid, send forth thine eye, this youthful parcel of noble bachelors stand at my bestowing, or whom both sovereign power and father's voice I have to use. Thy frank election make. Thou hast power to choose, and they none to forsake.
To each of you one and fair virtuous mistress fall when love please, marry to each but one.
Peruse them well. Not one of those but had a noble father.
Gentlemen, heaven hath through me restored the king to health.
We
We
understand
understand
it.
it.
Thank heaven for you.
I am a simple maid, and therein wealthiest that I protest I simply am a maid. Pleased your majesty, I have done already.
Make choice, and see, who shuns thy love, shuns all his love in me.
Sir, will you hear my suit?
And grant it.
Thanks, sir. All the rest is mute.
I had rather be in this choice than throw Ames ace for my life.
The honor, sir, that flames in your fair eyes before I speak too threateningly replies.
No better, if you please.
My wish receive, which great love grant, and so I take my leave.
Do all they deny her? And they were sons of mine, I'd have them whipped.
Be not afraid that I your hand should take. I'll never do you wrong for your own sake.
These boys are boys of ice, they'll none have her.
You are too young, too happy, and too good to make yourself a son out of my blood.
To a fair one, I think not so.
There's one grape yet. I am sure thy father drunk wine.
I dare not say I take you, but I give me and my service ever whilst I live into your guiding power. This is the man.
Why then, young Bertram, take her. She's thy wife.
My wife, my liege, I shall beseech your highness, in such a business give me leave to use the help of mine own eyes.
Knowest thou not, Bertram, what she has done for me?
Yes, my good lord, but never hope to know why I should marry her.
Thou knowest she has raised me from my sickly bed.
But follows it, my lord, to bring me down must answer for your raising? I know her well, a poor physician's daughter, my wife?
'Tis only title thou disdainest in her. The property by what it is should go, not by the title. She is young, wise, fair. In these to nature she's immediate heir. What should be said? If thou canst like this creature as a maid, I can create the rest. Virtue and she is her own dower, honor and wealth from me.
I cannot love her, nor will strive to do it.
Thou wrong'st thyself if thou shouldst strive to choose.
You are well restored, sir. I glad. Let the rest go.
My honor's at the stake, which to defeat I must produce my power. Here, take her hand, proud scornful boy, unworthy this good gift. Check thy contempt. Obey our will, which travails in thy good. Believe not thy disdain, but presently do thine own fortunes that obedient right which both thy duty owes and our power claims. Or I will throw thee from my care forever into the staggers and the careless lapse of youth and ignorance, both my revenge and hate loosing upon thee in the name of justice, without all terms of pity. Speak thine answer.
Pardon, my gracious lord, for I submit my fancy to your eyes. I find that she, which late was in my nobler thoughts most base, is now the praised of the king, who, so ennobled, is as 'twere born so.
Take her by the hand, and tell her she is thine.
I take her hand.
Good fortune and the favor of the king smile upon this contract, whose ceremony shall it seem expedient on the now born brief, and be performed tonight. As thou lovest her, thy love's to me religious, else does err.
You hear, monsieur, your lord and master did well to make his recantation.
Recantation. My lord, my master,
Are you companion to the Count Roussillon?
to any count, to all counts, to what is man?
What is Count's man? Count's master is of another style.
You are too old, sir. Let it satisfy you, you are too old.
I must tell thee, sirrah, I write man, to which title age cannot bring thee.
Hadst thou not the privilege of antiquity upon thee?
Do not plunge thyself too far in anger, lest thou hasten thy trial, which if, Lord have mercy on thee for a hen. So, my good window of lattice, fare thee well. Thy casement I need not open, for I look through thee. Give me thy hand.
My lord, you give me most egregious indignity.
I with all my heart, and thou art worthy of it.
Well, I shall be wiser.
Even as soon as thou canst, for thou hast to pull at a smack of the contrary.
My lord, you do me most insupportable vexation.
I would it were hell pains for thy sake, and my poor doing eternal. For doing I am past, as I will by thee, in what motion age will give me leave.
Well, thou hast a son, shall take this disgrace off me. Scurvy, old, filthy, scurvy lord. Well, I must be patient. There is no fettering of authority. I will have no more pity of his age than I would of... I'll beat him. And if I could but meet him again.
Sirrah, your lord and master's married. There's news for you. You have a new mistress.
He is my good lord. Whom I serve above is my master.
Who, God?
Aye, sir.
The devil it is that's thy master. By mine honor, if I were but 2 hours younger, I'd beat thee. Methinks thou art a general offense, and every man should beat thee.
This is hard and undeserved measure, my lord.
No, too, sir, you are a vagabond, and no true traveler. You are more saucy with lords and honorable personages than the commission of your birth and virtue gives you heraldry. You are not worth another word.
Good. Very good.
I'm done and forfeited to cares forever.
What's the matter, sweetheart?
Although before the solemn priest I have sworn, I will not bed her.
What, sweetheart?
Oh, my Parolas, they have married me. I'll to the Tuscan wars and never bed her.
France is a dog hole, and it no more merits the tread of a man's foot.
It shall
To
be.
the wars.
I'll send her to my house, acquaint my mother with my hate to her, and whether I am fled, write to the king that which I durst not speak. War is no strife to the dark house and the detested wife. I'll send her straight away. Tomorrow, I'll to the wars, she to her single sorrow.
A young man married is a man that's marred. Therefore away and leave her bravely. Go. The king has done you wrong, but hush, 'tis so.
My mother greets me kindly. Is she well?
She is not well, but she has her health. She's very merry, but yet she is not well.
If she be very well, what does she ail? That she's not very well?
Truly, she's very well indeed, but for 2 things.
What 2 things?
One, that she's not in heaven, whither God sent her quickly. The other, that she's in earth, from whence God sent her quickly.
Oh, my knave. How does my old lady?
So that you had her wrinkles and I her money, I would she did as you say.
Why, I say nothing.
Marry, you are the wiser man, for many a man's tongue shakes out his master's undoing. To say nothing, to do nothing, to know nothing, and to have nothing is to be a great part of your title, which is within a very little of nothing.
Away, thou art a knave.
Did you find me in yourself, sir, or were you taught to find me?
A good knave, in faith and well fed. Madam, my lord will go away tonight. A very serious business calls on him. The great prerogative and right of love, which, as your due time claims, he does acknowledge, but puts it off to a compelled restraint.
What's his will else?
That you will take your instant leave of the king and make this haste as your own good proceeding.
In everything, I wait upon his will.
I shall report it so.
I pray you, come, Sirrah.
But I hope your lordship thinks him not a soldier.
I do assure you, my lord, he is very great in knowledge, and accordingly valiant.
Here he comes, I pray you. Make us friends, I will pursue the amity.
These things shall be done, sir.
Pray you, sir, who's his tailor?
Sir,
Oh, I know him well. Aye, sir, sir. It's a good workman, a very good tailor.
Is she gone to the king?
she is,
Will she away tonight?
as you'll have her.
I've writ my letters, casketed my treasure, given order for our horses, and tonight, when I should take possession of the bride, and ere I do begin,
God save you, captain.
is there any unkindness between my lord and you, monsieur?
I know not how I have deserved to run into my lord's displeasure.
Maybe you have mistaken him, my lord.
And shall do so ever, though I took aim at his prayers. Very well, my lord, the soul of this man is his clothes. Trust him not in matter of heavy consequence. Farewell, monsieur. I have spoken better of you than you have or will to deserve at my hand.
An idle lord, I swear.
I think so.
Why, do you not know him?
Yes, I do know him well, and common speech gives him a worthy pass. Here comes my clog.
I have, sir, as I was commanded from you, spoke with the king and have procured his leave for present parting. Only he desires some private speech with you.
I shall obey his will. You must not marvel, Helen, at my course. Prepared I was not for such a business. Therefore I am so much unsettled. This drives me to entreat you that presently you take our way for home. This to my mother. 'Twill be 2 days ere I shall see you, so I leave you to her wisdom.
Sir, I can say nothing but that I am your most obedient servant.
Come, no more of that. My haste is very great. Farewell, hie home.
Pray, sir, your pardon.
Well, what would you say?
I am not worthy of the wealth I owe, but like a timorous thief most fain would steal what law does vouch mine own.
What would you have?
Something, and scarce so much, nothing indeed. I would not tell you what I would, my lord. Strangers and foes do sunder, and not kiss.
I pray you, stay not, but in haste to horse. Where are my other men? Farewell. Go thou toward home, where I will never come whilst I can shake my sword or hear the drum. Away and for our flight.
Bravely. Coraggio.
So that from point to point now have you heard the fundamental reasons of this war, whose decision hath much blood let forth, and more thirsts after.
Holy seems the quarrel upon your grace's part, black and fearful on the opposer.
Therefore we marvel how much our cousin France would in so just a business shut his bosom against our borrowing prayers.
Good my lord, the reasons of our state I cannot yield, but like a common and an outward man that the great figure of the council frames by self-unable motion, therefore dare not say what I think of it, since I have found myself in certain grounds to fail as often as I guessed.
Be it his pleasure.
But I am sure the younger of our nature that surfeit on their ease will day by day come here for physic.
Welcome shall they be, and all the honors that can fly from us shall on them settle. You know your places well. When better fall, for your avails they fell. Tomorrow, to the field.
Hath happened all as I would have had it, save that he comes not along with her.
By my troth, I take my young lord to be a very melancholy man.
By what observance, I pray you?
Why, he will look upon his boot and sing, mend the ruff and sing, ask questions and sing, pick his teeth and sing.
Well, let me see what he writes and when he means to come. What have we here?
E'en that you have there.
I have sent you a daughter-in-law. She hath recovered the king and undone me. I have wedded her, not bedded her. You shall hear I am run away. Know it before the report come. If there be breadth enough in the world, I will hold a long distance my duty to you, your unfortunate son Bertram. This is not well. Rash, an unbridled boy, to fly the favors of so good a king for the contempt of empire?
Oh, madam, yonder is heavy news within between two soldiers and my young lady.
What's the matter?
Nay, there is some comfort, some comfort. Your son will not be killed so soon as I thought he would.
Why should he be killed?
So say I, madam, if he run away as I hear he does.
Save you, good madam.
Madam, my lord is gone, forever gone.
Do not say so.
Where is my son, I pray?
Madame, he's gone to serve the Duke of Florence.
Look on his letter, madam. Here's my passport. When thou canst get the ring upon my finger, which never shall come off, and show me a child begotten of thy body that I am father to, then call me husband. But in such a then I write a never.
Brought you this letter, gentlemen.
Aye, madam. And for the consent's sake are sorry for our pains.
I prithee, lady, have a better cheer. He was my son, but I do wash his name out of my blood, and thou art all my child. Towards Florence, is he?
Aye, madam.
And to be a soldier?
Such is his noble purpose.
Return you hither?
Aye, madam, with the swiftest wing of speed.
Still I have no wife. I have nothing in France. 'Tis bitter.
Find you that there?
Aye, madam.
'Tis but the boldness of his hands, happily which his heart was not consenting to.
Nothing in France until he have no wife. There's nothing here that is too good for him, but only she. Who was with him?
A servant only, and a gentleman, which I have sometimes known.
Parolles, was it not?
Aye, my good lady, he.
A very tainted fellow and full of wickedness.
Indeed, good lady, the fellow has a deal too much, which holds him much to have.
You are welcome, gentlemen. I will entreat you, when you see my son, to tell him that his sword can never win the honor that he loses. More I'll entreat you written to bear along.
We serve you, madame, in that and all your worthiest affairs.
Not so, but as we change our courtesies. Will you draw near?
Thou shalt have none, Rousillon. Poor lord, it's I that chased thee from thy country and exposed those tender limbs of thine to the none-sparing war. Do not touch, my lord. Whoever shoots at him, I set him there. Whoever charges at his forward breast, I am the caitiff that do set him to it. And though I kill him not, I am the cause his death were so affected. Better 'twere that all the miseries which nature owes were mine at once. That pitiful rumor may report my flight to consolate thine ear. Come night and day, for with the dark, poor thief, I'll steal away.
The general of our horse thou art, and we, great in our hope, lay our best love and credence upon thy promising fortune.
Sir, it is a charge too heavy for my strength, but yet will strive to bear it for your worthy sake to the extreme edge of hazard.
Then go forth, and fortune play upon thy prosperous helm as thy auspicious mistress.
This very day, great Mars, I put myself into thy file. Make me but like my thoughts, and I shall prove a lover of thy drum, hater of love.
Might you not know she would do as she has done by sending me a letter? Read it again.
I am Jacques Pilgrim, thither gone. Ambitious love hath in me offended. That barefoot plod on the cold ground upon, with sainted vow my faults to have amended. Right, that from the bloody course of war, My dearest master, your dear son may high, bless him at home in peace, whilst I from far his name with zealous fervor sanctify. I, his despiteful Juno, sent him forth from courtly friends with camping foes to live where death and danger dogs the heels of worth. He is too good and fair for death in me, whom I embrace to set him free.
Ah, what sharp stings are in her mildest words. Rinaldo, you did never lack advice so much as letting her pass so. Had I spoke with her, I could have well diverted her intents, which thus she hath prevented.
Pardon me, madam. And yet she writes, if I had given you this o'ernight, she might have been overtaken. And yet she writes, pursuit would have been but vain.
What angel shall bless this unworthy husband? He cannot thrive unless her prayers, whom heaven delights to hear and loves to grant, reprieve him from the wrath of greatest justice. Write, Rinaldo, to this unworthy husband of his wife. Let every word weigh heavy of her worth that he does weigh too light. My greatest grief. Dispatch the most convenient messenger. When haply he shall hear that she is gone, he will return, and hope I may that she, hearing so much, will speed her foot again, led hither by pure love, which of them both is dearest to me. I have no skill in sense to make distinction. Provide this messenger. My heart is heavy and mine age is weak. Grief would have tears, and sorrow bids me speak.
They say the French count has done most honorable service.
It is reported that he has taken their greatest commander, and that with his own hand he slew the Duke's brother. Oh, we have lost our labor.
Come, let's return again and suffice ourselves with the report of it. Well, Diana, take heed of this French earl.
I have told my neighbor how you have been solicited by a gentleman, his companion.
I know that knave, hang him, one Parolles. Beware of them, Diana, their promises, enticements, oaths, tokens, and all these engines of lust. Many a maid hath been seduced by them. I hope I need not to advise you further, but I hope your own grace will keep you where you are.
You shall not need to fear me.
I hope so. Look, here comes a pilgrim. I know she will lie at my house. God save you, pilgrim. Whither are you bound?
To St. Jacques le Grand. Where to the Palmer's Lodge, I do beseech you?
At the St. Francis, here beside the port.
Is this the way?
I marriest. If you will tarry, holy pilgrim, but till the troops come by, I will conduct you where you shall be lodged. The rather, for I think I know your hostess as ample as myself.
Is it yourself?
If you shall please so, pilgrim.
I thank you, and I will stay upon your leisure.
You came, I think, from France.
I did so.
Here you shall be a countryman of yours that has done worthy service.
His name, I pray you.
The Count Roussillon. Know you such a one?
But by the ear that hears most nobly of him, his face I know not.
He stole from France, as 'tis reported, for the king had married him against his liking. Think you it is so?
Aye, surely, mere the truth. I know his lady.
There is a gentleman that serves the count reports but coarsely of her.
What's his name?
Monsieur Parolles.
Oh, I believe with him. In argument of praise, she is too mean to have her name repeated. All her deserving is a reserved honesty, and that I have not heard examined.
Alas, poor lady! 'Tis a hard bondage to become the wife of a detesting lord.
I warrant, good creature, wheresoe'er she is, her heart weighs sadly. This young maid might do her a shrewd turn if she pleased.
How do you mean? Maybe the amorous count solicits her in an unlawful purpose?
He does indeed, but she is armed for him and keeps her guard in honestest defense.
the gods forbid else.
So, now they come.
Which is the Frenchman?
That with the plume. 'Tis a most gallant fellow.
I like him well.
'Tis a pity he is not honest. Yawns that same knave that leads him to these places. Were I his lady, I would poison that vile rascal.
Which is he?
That jackanapes with the scarfs. Why is he melancholy?
Perchance he's hurt in the battle.
Look, he has spied us.
Mary, hang you.
And your courtesy for a ring carrier.
The troop is past. Come, pilgrim. I will bring you where you shall host.
I humbly thank you.
Nay, good my lord, put him to it, let him have his way.
If your lordship find him not a hilding, hold me no more in your respect.
Do you think I'm so far deceived in him?
Believe it, my lord, he's a most notable coward, an infinite and endless liar, an hourly promise breaker.
It were fit you knew him, lest he might at some great danger fail you.
I would I knew in what particular action to try him.
Were none better than to let him fetch off his drum.
I, with a troop of Florentines, will suddenly surprise him. We will bind and hoodwink him so that shall suppose no other but that he is carried into the leaguer of the adversaries when we bring him to our own tents. But your lordship present at his examination, if he do not, for the promise of his life, offer to betray you and deliver all the intelligence in his power against you, never trust my judgment in anything.
Oh, for the love of laughter, let him fetch his drum. He says he has a stratagem for it. But well, here he comes.
Oh, for the love of laughter, let him fetch off his drum in any hand.
How now, sir? This drum sticks sorely in your disposition.
Well, a pox on it, let it go. 'Tis but a drum.
But a drum. Is but a drum? A drum so lost.
Well, that was not to be blamed in the command of the service.
Some dishonor we had in the loss of that drum, but it is not to be recovered.
It might have been recovered.
It might, but it is not now.
It is to be recovered. I would have that drum or another or hic jacet.
Why, if you have a stomach to it, monsieur, if you think your mystery and a stratagem can bring this instrument of honor again into his native quarter, be magnanimous in the enterprise and go on.
By the hand of a soldier, I will undertake it.
But you must not now slumber in it.
I will all about it this evening. By midnight, look to hear further from me.
May I be bold to acquaint his grace you are gone about it?
I know not what the success will be, my lord, but the attempt, I vow.
I know thou art valiant. Farewell.
I love not many words.
No more than a fish loves water. Is not this a strange fellow, my lord, that so confidently seems to undertake this business, which he knows is not to be done?
You do not know him, my lord, as we do. Certain it is that he will steel himself into a man's favor and for a week escape a great deal of discoveries. But when you find him out, you have him ever after.
Why, do you think he will make no deed at all of this that so seriously he does address himself unto?
None in the world, but return with an invention and clap upon you 2 or 3 probable lies.
We'll make you some sport with the fox ere we case him. When his disguise and he is parted, tell me what a sprat you shall find him, which you shall see this very night.
I must go look my twigs. He shall be caught.
Now will I lead you to the house and show you the lass I spoke of.
But you say she's honest.
That's all the fault. I spoke with her but once and found her wondrous cold. But I sent to her tokens and letters, which she did resend, and this is all I have done. She's a fair creature. Will you go see her?
With all my heart, my lord.
If you misdoubt me that I am not she, I know not how I shall assure you further.
Though my estate be fallen, I was well born, nothing acquainted with these businesses, and would not put my reputation now in any staining act.
Nor would I wish you. First give me trust. The Count, he is my husband.
I should believe you, for you have showed me that which well approves your great infortune.
Take this purse of gold, and let me buy your friendly help thus far, which I will overpay and pay again when I have found it. The Count, he woos your daughter, lays down his wanton siege before her beauty, resolved to carry her, let her in fine consent. Now his important blood will not deny that she'll demand a ring the Count he wears in most rich choice, yet in his idle fire to buy his will, it will not seem too dear, howe'er repented after.
Now I see the bottom of your purpose.
You see it lawful then. It is no more but that your daughter, ere she seems as one, desires this ring, appoints him an encounter, in fine, delivers me to fill the time.
I have yielded. Instruct my daughter how she shall persever that time and place with this deceit so lawful may prove coherent. Every night he comes with music of all sorts and songs composed.
Why then, tonight let us essay our plot, which, if it speed, is wicked meaning in a lawful deed, and lawful meaning in a lawful act, where both not sin and yet a sinful fact. But let's about it.
He can come no other way but by this hedge corner. When you sally upon him, speak what terrible language you will, though you understand it not yourselves, no matter, for we must not seem to understand him, unless someone among us whom we must produce for an interpreter.
Good captain, let me be the interpreter.
Art not acquainted with him? Knows not thy voice?
No, sir, I warrant you.
He must think us some band of strangers and adversaries' entertainment. We must every one be a man of his own fancy, not to know what we speak one to another. As for you, interpreter, you must seem very politic. The couch, here he comes.
10 o'clock. Within these 3 hours, 'twill be time enough to go home. What shall I say I have done? It must be a very plausive invention that carries it. They begin to smoke me, and disgraces have of late knocked too often at my door.
This is the first truth that e'er thine own tongue was guilty of.
What the devil should move me to undertake the recovery of this drum? I must give myself some hurts, and say I got them in the exploit.
Is it possible he should know what he is and be that he is?
I would the cutting of my garments would serve the turn, or the breaking of my Spanish sword.
'Twould not do.
Or to drown my clothes and say I was stripped.
Hardly serve.
I would I had any drum of the enemy's. I would swear I recovered it.
You shall hear one anon.
Drum now of the enemy's.
Procomubusus! Cargo, cargo, cargo!
Cargo, 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 viliando par corvo cargo.
Oh, ransom, ransom, do not hide mine eyes!
Boscos tromuldo boscos.
I know you are of the Muscos regiment, and I shall lose my life for want of language.
I understand thee and can speak thy tongue.
Oh!
The general's content to spare thee yet, and hoodwinked as thou art, will lead thee on to gather from thee. Haply thou mayst inform something to save thy life.
Oh, let me live, and all the secrets of our camp I'll show.
But wilt thou faithfully?
If I do not, damn me.
Come on, thou art granted space.
Go, tell the Count Roussillon and my brother we have caught the woodcock and will keep him muffled till we do hear from them.
Captain, I will.
Who will betray us all unto ourselves. Inform on that.
So I will, sir.
Till then, I'll keep him dark and safely locked.
They told me that your name was Fontebelle.
No, my good lord, Diana.
Titled goddess, in your fine frame hath love no quality, and now you should be as your mother was when your sweet self was got.
She then was honest.
So should you be.
My mother did but duty, such, my lord, as you owe to your wife.
No more that, I prithee, do not strive against my vows. I was compelled to her, but I love thee.
Aye, so you serve us till we serve you. But when you have our roses, you barely leave our thorns to prick ourselves and mock us with our bareness.
How have I sworn?
'Tis not the many oaths that makes the truth, but the plain single vow that is vowed true. If I should swear by God's great attributes, I loved you dearly, would you believe my oaths?
Be not so wholly cruel. Love is holy, but give thyself unto my sick desires. Who then recover? Say thou art mine, and ever my love, as it begins, shall so persevere.
I see that men make ropes in such a scare that we'll forsake ourselves. Give me that ring.
I'll lend it thee, my dear, but have no power to give it from me.
Will you not, my lord?
It is an honor longing to our house, bequeathed down from many ancestors.
My chastity's the jewel of our house, bequeathed down from many ancestors.
Here, take my ring, my house, mine honor, yea, my life. Be thine, and all be bid by thee.
When midnight comes, knock at my chamber window. When you have conquered my yet maiden bed, remain there but an hour, nor speak to me. My reasons are most strong, and you shall know them when back again this ring shall be delivered. And on your finger in the night I'll put another ring, that what in time proceeds may token to the future our past deeds. Adieu, till then fail not. You have won a wife of me, though there my hope be done.
Heaven on earth I have won by wooing thee.
The which live long to thank both heaven and me. You may so in the end. My mother told me just how he would woo, as if she sat in his heart. She says all men have the like oaths. He had sworn to marry me when his wife's dead. Since Frenchmen are so braid, marry that will, I live and die a maid. Only in this disguise I think it no sin to cozen him that would unjustly win.
You have not given him his mother's letter?
I have delivered it an hour since. There is something in it that stings his nature.
Well, he has much worthy blame laid upon him for shaking off so good a wife.
Especially he hath incurred the everlasting displeasure of the king. I will tell you a thing, but you shall let it dwell darkly with you.
But when you have spoken it, 'tis dead, and I am the grave of it.
He hath perverted a young gentlewoman here in Florence, of a most chaste renown, and this night he fleshes his will in the spoil of her honor. He hath given her his monumental ring.
Oh, God delay our rebellion.
Merely our own traitors.
We shall not then have his company tonight.
Not till after midnight, for he is dieted to his hour.
Well, that approaches apace. In the meantime, what hear you of these wars?
I hear there is an overture of peace.
Nay, I assure you a peace concluded.
What will Count Roussillon do then?
I perceive by this demand you are not altogether of his counsel.
Let it be forbid, sir.
Sir, his wife, some 2 months since, fled from his house. Her pretense is a pilgrimage to Saint Jacques le Grand. There residing, the tenderness of her nature became as a prey to her grief. In time, made a groan of her last breath, and now she sings in heaven.
How is this justified?
Stronger part of it by her own letters, which was faithfully confirmed by the rector of the place.
Hath the Count all this intelligence?
Aye.
I am heartily sorry that he'll be glad of this.
How mightily sometimes we make us comfort of our losses.
And how mightily some other times we drown our gain in tears. The great dignity that his valor hath here acquired for him shall at home be encountered with a shame as ample.
The web of our life is of a mingled yarn, good and ill together. Our virtues would be proud if our faults whipped them not, and our crimes would despair if they were not cherished by our virtues. But how now, where's your master?
He met the Duke in the street. The Duke hath offered him letters of commendation to the king.
They cannot be too sweet for the king's tartness. Here's his lordship now. How now, my lord? Is not after midnight?
I have tonight dispatched 16 businesses. I have congeed with the Duke, done my adieu with his nearest, buried a wife, mourned for her, writ to my late mother I am returning, entertained my convoy, and between these main parcels of dispatch affected many nicer needs. But shall we have this dialogue between the fool and the soldier? Come, bring forth this counterfeit module. He has deceived me like a double-meaning prosphecyr.
Bring him forth. Has sat at the stocks all night, poor gallant knave.
No matter. How does he carry himself?
He hath confessed himself to Morgan, whom he supposes to be a friar. What think you he hath confessed?
Nothing of me, has he?
If your lordship be in't, as I believe you are, you must have the patience to hear it.
Plague upon him, muffled, he can say nothing of me. Hush, hush.
Hoodman comes, Porto Tarosa.
He calls for the tortures. What will you say without him?
I will confess what I know without constraint.
You are a merciful general. Our general bids you answer to what I shall ask you, out of a note.
And truly, as I hope to live.
First demand of him, how many horse the Duke is strong? What say you to that?
5,000 or 6,000, but very weak and unserviceable. The troops are all scattered, and the commanders very poor rogues.
Shall I set down your answer so?
Do.
All's one to him. What a past-saving slave is this?
You're deceived, my lord. This is Monsieur Paroles, the gallant militarist. That was his own phrase.
I will never trust a man again for keeping his sword clean.
Well, that's set down.
5,000 or 6,000 horse, I said.
He's very near the truth in this.
But I con him no thanks for it in the nature he delivers it.
Demand of him of what strength they are afoot. What say you to that?
By my troth, sir, if I were to live this present hour, I will tell true. The muster file, rotten and sound upon my life, amounts not to 15,000 pole, half of the which dare not shake snow from their cassocks, lest they shake themselves to pieces.
What shall be done to him?
But nothing, but let him have thanks. Demand of him my condition and what credit I have with the Duke.
Well, that's set down. You shall demand of him whether, one, Captain Dumaine, be in the camp of Frenchmen, what his reputation is with the Duke, what his valor, honesty, and expertness in wars, or whether he thinks it were not possible, with well-weighing sums of gold, to corrupt him to revolt. What say you to this? What do you know of it?
I beseech you, let me answer to the particular of the interrogatories. Demand them singly.
Do you know this Captain Dumaine?
I know him. It was a botcher's prentice in Paris.
Well, is this captain in the Duke of Florence's camp?
Upon my knowledge, he is, and lousy.
What is his reputation with the Duke?
The Duke knows him for no other but a poor officer of mine, and writ to me this other day to turn him out of the band. I think I have his letter in my pocket.
Mary, we'll search.
In good sadness, I do not know. Either it is there, or it is upon a file with the Duke's other letters in my tent.
Here 'tis, here's a paper. Shall I read it to you?
I do not know if it be it or no.
Our interpreter does it well.
Excellently.
Diane, the Count's a fool and full of gold.
That's not the Duke's letter, sir. That is an advertisement to a proper maid in Florence, one Diana, to take heed of the allurement of one Count Roussillon, a foolish idle boy, but for all that, very ruddish. I pray you, sir, put it up again.
Nay, I'll read it first by your favor.
The meaning in't, I protest, was very honest in the behalf of the maid, for I knew the young Count to be a dangerous and lascivious boy.
Damnable both sides rogue.
He never pays after debts. Take it before. Men are to mell with, boys are not to kiss. For count of this, the Count's a fool, I know it, who pays before, but not when he does owe it. Thine as he vowed, to thee in thine ear, Parolles.
He shall be whipped through the army with this rhyme in's forehead.
This is your devoted friend.
I can endure anything but a cat, and now he's a cat to me.
I perceive, sir, by the general's looks, we shall be fain to hang you.
My life, sir, in any case. Let me live, sir, in a dungeon, in the stocks, or anywhere, so I may live.
We'll see what may be done, so you confess freely. Therefore, once more to this Captain Dumaine, you have answered to his reputation with the Duke and his valor. What is his honesty?
He will steal, sir. He professes not keeping of oaths. He will lie, sir, with such volubility that you would think truth were a fool. Drunkenness is his best virtue. He has everything that an honest man should not have. What an honest man should have, he has nothing.
I begin to love him for this.
For this description of thine honesty?
What say you to his expertness in war?
Faith, sir, he has led the drum before the English tragedians.
But he hath out-villained villainy so far that the rarity redeems him.
Oh, pox on him, he's a cat still.
What's his brother, the other Captain Dumaine?
What? Why does he ask him of me?
What's he?
E'en a crow of the same nest. He excels his brother for a coward, yet his brother is reputed one of the best that is. In a retreat, he outruns any lackey.
If your life be saved, will you undertake to betray the Florentine?
Aye, and the captain of his horse, Count Roussillon.
I'll whisper with the general and know his pleasure.
Oh, no more drumming. A plague of all drums. Yet who would have suspected an ambush where I was taken?
There is no remedy, sir, but you must die. The general says that you have so traitorously discovered the secrets of your army. Therefore, you must die. Come, headsman, off with this head.
Oh, Lord, sir, let me live, or let me see my death.
Oh, that shall you. So, look about you. Know you any here?
Good morrow, noble captain.
God bless you, Captain Parolles.
Oh, God save you, noble captain. Good captain, will you give me a copy of the sonnet you writ to Diana in behalf of the Count Roussillon? Fare you well.
You are undone, Captain. All but your scarf that has a knot on it yet.
Who cannot be crushed with a plot?
Fare you well, sir. I am for France too. We shall speak of you there.
Yet am I thankful. Captain, I'll be no more, but I will eat and drink and sleep as soft as Captain shall. Simply the thing I am shall make me live. Who knows himself a braggart, let him fear this, for it will come to pass that every braggart shall be found an ass. Rust, sword, cool blush 'tis, and Parolles live safest in shame. Being fooled, by foolery thrive. There's place and means for every man alive. Oh, after them.
That you may well perceive I have not wronged you, one of the greatest in the Christian world shall be my surety. For whose throne 'tis needful ere I can perfect mine intents to kneel. I am supposed dead, the army breaking. My husband hies him home, where heaven aiding, and by the leave of my good liege the king, will be before our welcome.
Gentle madam, you never had a servant to whose trust your business was more welcome.
Nor you, mistress, ever a friend whose thoughts more truly labor to recompense your love. Doubt not, but heaven hath brought me up to be your daughter's dower, as it hath fated her to be my motive and helper to a husband.
Let death and honesty go with your impositions. I am yours upon your will to suffer.
We must away. Our wagon is prepared and time revives us. All's well that ends well. Still defines the crown. Whate'er the course, the end is the renown.
No, 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 your son was misled with a snipped taffeta fellow there. Your daughter-in-law had been alive at this hour, and your son here at home more advanced by the king than by that red-tailed humblebee I spake of.
I would I had not known him. It was the death of the most virtuous gentlewoman that ever nature had praised for creating.
'Twas a good lady, 'twas a good lady.
Indeed, sir, she was the sweet marjoram of the salad, or rather the herb of grace.
They are not herbs, you knave, they are nose herbs.
I am no great Nebuchadnezzar, sir. I have not much skill in grass.
Whether dost thou profess thyself a knave or a fool?
A fool, sir, at a woman's service, and a knave at a man's.
The distinction?
I would cousin the man his wife and do his service.
So you were a knave at his service indeed.
And I would give his wife my bauble, sir, to do her service.
I will subscribe for thee, thou art both knave and fool.
At your service.
No, no, no.
I am a woodland fellow, sir, that always loved a great fire. I am for the house with the narrow gate, which I take to be too little for pomp to enter. Some that humble themselves may.
Go thy ways, I begin to be aweary of thee. Go thy ways. A shrewd knave and an unhappy.
And so he is. My lord that's gone made himself much sport out of him.
I like him well, and I was about to tell you, since I heard of the good lady's death, and that my lord your son was upon his return home, I moved the king my master to speak in the behalf of my daughter. How does your ladyship like it?
With very much content, my lord, and I wish it happily effected.
His Highness comes post from Versailles, as of able body as when he numbered 30. He will be here tomorrow.
It rejoices me that I hope I shall see him ere I die. I have letters that my son will be here tonight. I shall beseech your lordship to remain with me till they meet together.
Madam, I was thinking with what manners I might safely be admitted.
Oh, madam, yonder's my lord, your son with a patch of velvet on his face.
A scar nobly got, or a noble scar, is a good livery of honor. Let us go see your son, I pray you. I long to talk with the young noble soldier.
Faith, there's a dozen of 'em, with fine delicate hats and most courteous feathers, which bow the head and nod at every man.
This man may help me to his majesty's ear, if he would send his power. God save you, sir.
And you?
Sir, I have seen you in the court of France.
I have been sometimes there. What's your will?
That it will please you to give this poor petition to the king.
The king's not here.
Not here, sir.
Not indeed. He hence removed last night, and with more haste than in his use.
Lord, how we lose our pains.
All's well that ends well yet. I do beseech you, whither is he gone?
Marry, as I take it, Trucion, whither I am going.
I do beseech you, sir, since you are like to see the king before me, commend the paper to his gracious hand.
This I'll do for you.
And you shall find yourself to be well thanked, whate'er falls more. We must to horse again. Go, go, provide.
Good Monsieur Lavache, give my lord Lafeu this letter.
Prithee, stand away. A paper's from a fortune's close stool to give to a nobleman? Look, here he comes himself. Here's a purr of fortune, sir, or a fortune's cat, for he looks like a poor, decayed, ingenious, foolish, rascally knave. I do pity his distress in my similes of comfort, and leave him to your lordship.
My lord, I am a man whom fortune hath cruelly scratched.
What would you have me to do? 'Tis too late to pare her nails now.
I beseech your honor to hear me one single word.
You shall have it.
My name, my good lord, is Parolles.
Cox, my passion, give me your hand. How does your drum?
Oh, my good lord, you were the first that found me.
Was I, in sooth?
It lies in you, my lord, to bring me in some grace, for you did bring me out.
Out upon thee, knave. The king's coming. Spirit, fire after me. I had talk of you last night. Though you are a fool and a knave, you shall have eat. Go to, follow.
I praise God for you.
We lost a jewel of her, and our esteem was made much poorer by it. But your son, as mad in folly, lacked the sense to know her estimation home.
'Tis past, my liege, and I beseech your majesty to make it natural rebellion done in the blaze of youth.
My honored lady, I have forgiven and forgotten all.
He lost a wife whose beauty did astonish the survey of richest eyes, whose words all ears took captive, whose dear perfection hearts that scorn to serve humbly called mistress.
Praising what is lost makes the remembrance dear. Well, call him hither. We are reconciled, and the first view shall kill all repetition. Let him approach, a stranger, no offender, and inform him so 'tis our will he should.
I shall, my liege.
What says he to your daughter? Have you spoke?
All that he is hath reference to your highness.
Then shall we have a match. I have letters sent me that set him high in fame.
He looks well on't.
I am not a day of season. Distracted clouds give way. So stand thou forth, the time is fair again.
My high repented blames, dear sovereign, pardon to me.
All is whole. Not one word more of the consumed time. Let's take the instant by the forward top, for we are old, and on our quickest decrees this inaudible and noiseless foot of time steals ere we can effect them. You remember the daughter of this lord?
Admiringly, my liege. At first I stuck my choice upon her, ere my heart durst make too bold a herald of my tongue that she whom all men praised, and whom myself, since I have lost, have loved, was in mine eyne the dust that did offend it.
Well excused. That thou didst love her strikes some scores away from the great Comte. But love that comes too late to the great sender turns a sour offense, crying, "That's good, that's gone." Our rash faults make trivial price of serious things we have, not knowing them until we know their grave. Be this sweet Helen's knell, and now forget her. Send forth your amorous token for fair Maudlin. The main consents are had, and here we'll stay to see our widower's second marriage day.
Which better than the first? Oh, dear heaven, bless.
Come on, my son, and give a favor from you to sparkle in the spirits of my daughter, that she may quickly come. By my old beard, and every hair that's on't, Helen that's dead was a sweet creature. Such a ring as this, the last that ere I took her leave at court, I saw upon her finger.
Hers it was not.
Now pray you let me see it, for mine eye. This ring was mine, and when I gave it Helen, I bade her, if her fortunes ever stood necessity to help, that by this token I would relieve her.
My gracious sovereign, however it pleases you to take it so, the ring was never hers.
Son, on my life, I have seen her wear it, and she reckoned it as at her life's rate.
I am sure I saw her wear it.
You are deceived, my lord. She never saw it. In Florence was it from a casement thrown me, wrapped in a paper which contained the name of her that threw it. Noble she was, and thought I stood engaged.
'Twas mine. 'Twas Helen's. Confess 'twas hers, and by what rough enforcement you got it from her. She called the saints to surety that she would never put it from her finger unless she gave it to yourself in bed, where you have never come, or sent it us upon her great disaster.
She never saw it.
Thou speakest it falsely, and yet I know not. Thou didst hate her deadly, and she is dead, which nothing but to close her eyes myself could win me to believe, more than to see this ring. Take him away. We'll sift this matter further.
If you shall prove the ring was ever hers, you shall as easy prove that I husband her bed in Florence, where yet she never was.
I am wrapped in dismal thinkings.
Gracious sovereign, here's a petition from a Florentine, who hath for 4 or 5 removes come short, to tender it herself, and she told me, in a sweet verbal brief, it did concern your highness with herself.
Upon his many protestations to marry me when his wife was dead, I blush to say it, he won me. Now is the Count Russion a widower. His vows are forfeited to me, and my honors paid to him. He stole from Florence, taking no leave, and I follow him to his country for justice. Grant it me, O king, Diana Capulet.
I will buy me a son-in-law in a fair, and toll for this I'll none of him.
The heavens have thought well on thee, LeFou, to bring forth this discovery. Seek these suitors. I am afeard the life of Helen, lady, was foully snatched.
Now justice on the doers.
I wonder, sir, sith wives are monsters to you, and that you fly them as you swear them lordship, yet you desire to marry. What woman's that?
I am, my lord, a wretched Florentine derived from the ancient Capulet.
I am her mother, sir, whose age and honor both suffer under this complaint we bring.
Come hither, Count. Do you know these women?
My lord, I neither can nor will deny, but that I know them. Do they charge me further?
Why do you look so strange upon your wife?
She's none of mine, my lord.
If you shall marry, you give away this hand, and that is mine. You give away heaven's vows, and those are mine.
Your reputation comes too short for my daughter. You are no husband for her.
My lord, this is a fond and desperate creature, whom sometime I have laughed with.
Good, my lord, ask him upon his oath, if he does think he had not my virginity.
What sayest thou to her?
She's impudent, my lord, and was a common gamester to the camp.
Do not believe him. Oh, behold this ring, whose high respect and rich validity did lack a parallel. Yet for all that, he gave it to a commoner of the camp, if I be one.
He blushes, and 'tis it. Of 6 preceding ancestors, that gem, conferred by testament to the sequent issue, hath it been owed and worn. This is his wife. That rings 1,000 proofs.
Methought you said you saw one here in court could witness it.
I did, my lord, but loath am to produce so bad an instrument. His name's Parolles.
I saw the man today, if man he be.
Find him, and bring him hither.
What of him? He's quoted for most perfidious slave, with all the sports of the world taxed and debauched, whose nature sickens but to speak a truth.
He hath that ring of yours.
I think she hath. Certain it is I liked her, and boarded her in the wanton way of youth. She knew her distance, and did angle for me. Her infinite cunning with her modern grace subdued me to her rate. She got the ring.
You that have turned off a first so noble wife may justly diet me. I pray you yet, since you lack virtue, I will lose a husband. Send for your ring, I will return it home, and give me mine again.
I have it not.
What ring was yours, I pray you?
Sir, much like the same upon your finger.
Know you this ring? This ring was his of late.
And this was it I gave him, being abed.
The story then goes false. You threw it him out of a casement.
I have spoke the truth.
My lord, I do confess the ring was hers.
You boggle shrewdly. Every feather stars you. Is this the man you speak of?
Aye, my lord.
Tell me, Sirrah, did he love this woman?
Faith, sir, he did love her. But how?
How, I pray you?
He did love her, sir, as a gentleman loves a woman.
How is that?
He loved her, sir, and loved her not.
As thou art a knave and no knave. What unequivocal companion is this?
I am a poor man and at your majesty's command.
He's a good drum, my lord, but a naughty orator.
Do you know he promised me marriage?
Faith, I know more than I'll speak.
But wilt thou not speak all thou knowest?
Yes, so please your majesty. I did go between them, as I said. But more than that, he loved her. I knew of their going to bed, and of other motions, as promising her marriage, and things which would derive me ill will to speak of. Therefore, I will not speak what I know.
Thou hast spoken all already, unless thou canst say they are married. This ring you say was yours.
Aye, my good lord.
Where did you buy it, or who gave it you?
It was not given me, nor I did not buy it.
Who lent it you?
It was not lent me neither.
Where did you find it then?
I found it not.
If it were yours by none of all these ways, how could you give it him?
I never gave it him.
This woman's an easy glove, my lord. She goes off and on at pleasure.
This ring was mine. I gave it his first wife.
It might be yours or hers, for aught I know.
Take her away. I do not like her now. To prison with her and away with him. Unless thou tell'st me where thou hadst this ring, thou diest within this hour. Wherefore hast thou accused him all this while?
Because he's guilty, and he is not guilty. He knows I am no maid, and he'll swear to it. I'll swear I am a maid, and he knows not.
She does abuse our ears. To prison with her.
Good mother, fetch my bail. Stay, royal sir. The jeweler that owes the ring is sent for, and he shall surety me. But for this lord, who hath abused me as he knows himself, though yet he never harmed me, here I quit him. He knows himself, my bed he hath defiled, and at that time he got his wife with child. Dead though she be, she feels her young one kick. So there's my riddle. One that's dead is quick. And now behold the meaning.
Is there no exorcist beguiles the truer office of mine eyes? Is it real that I see?
No, my good lord, 'tis but a shadow of a wife you see.
Both? Both? Oh, pardon.
Oh, my good lord, when I was like this maid, I found you wondrous kind. There is your ring, and look you, here's your letter. This it says, when from my finger you can get this ring, and are by me with child, etc. This is done. Will you be mine now you are doubly won?
If she, my liege, can make me know this clearly, I'll love her dearly, ever, ever dearly.
If it appear not plain and proven true, deadly divorce come between me and you.
Mine eyes smell onions. I shall weep anon. Good Tom Drum, lend me a handkercher. So I thank thee. Wait on me home. I'll make sport with thee.
Let us from point to point this story know, to make the even truth in pleasure flow. Diana, if thou beest yet a fresh uncropped flower, choose thou thy husband, and I'll pay thy dower. For I can guess that by thy honest aid thou keepest a wife herself, thyself a maid. all yet seems well. And if it ends so meet the bitter past, more welcome is the sweet. The king's a beggar. Now the play is done. All is well ended if this suit be won. That you express content, which we will pay with strife to please you, day exceeding day. Ours be your patience then, and yours our parts. Your gentle hands lend us, and take our hearts.
Bertram.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight on this, our second production for Apocalyptic Shakespeare. We are thrilled to see you, and I see that we do have some questions, so I'd like to invite the cast to come back, and let's get those questions answered. Excellent. Welcome back, cast of All's Well That Ends Well. So the first question that came in was from Joy G, and it was a question, I have to find it here, about, tell us about the rehearsal process and what it is like to rehearse using Zoom. If you would like to chime in on that, just unmute yourself and go ahead.
It was a lot more convenient.
A lot more convenient. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, that whole commute to and from rehearsal, right? Go ahead.
It's not without its challenges. That's a challenge right there, is that two people can't talk at once. So that can be quite challenging during a rehearsal.
Absolutely.
It's also really strange, I think, to rehearse seated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to using our bodies from the top of our head to our toes in space, and to be seated, it's challenging.
And to not be able to touch anyone, like not touch or actually really look at anyone.
I was just going to say that, to actually look directly at the person you're talking to, you can't, and that's hard.
Yeah, because often if you look towards the person you're talking to, it looks like you're looking very far to the side or off the screen completely, so it makes it harder to convey who we're looking at.
Absolutely. As a director, it's weird. One of the things about doing plays is the energy of the room. And we still get the energy from the people who are in the play, participating in the play, acting in the play, working on the play. But it's not quite the same because it's all fed through electronics. And since, you know, Zoom exhaustion is a real thing, there's a lot of input coming in that we are up until this point really weren't used to. So it takes an adjustment, but it's also, there's not the commute to rehearsal. There's not worrying about whether the rehearsal room is too hot or too cold or too messy or whatever. More people are able to work out conflicts because they don't have the commute, and they, you know, we can pop on from anywhere. So there's a lot of things that are really great about it. And then I miss actually being in the room with the cast and crew. That's the biggest part of this, that connection that happens. But at least we've come up with some way to still fill our theater souls and share that with everybody, since that is, you know, we got into this to do theater, not to sit here and talk about it. So does anyone else want to chime in on what this process has been like for you?
You only had a week.
We only had a week. Yes. So we do this. Oh, go ahead, Erica. Sorry.
Month and a half of what it usually takes to do a show. So
true. We do this what we like to call Wildflower style, and Wildflower Women's Ensemble is the umbrella company, if you will, for Apocalyptic Shakespeare. Wildflower style is We don't memorize, we use scrolls, and we have limited rehearsal in order to fit in these shows into everyone else's already busy, crazy schedules. And even in the pandemic, people are still very busy. And so we adopted that format. The scrolls are electronic because they're on our computers, and the rehearsal is still 5 or 6 days long. And then we do the show. So it's a short process, but there's also no memorizing. So I don't know how that feels, but it does take away some of the need for, 6 weeks of rehearsal. And like Christine said, I think those sitting down thing, blocking changes. So there is a little less physical work to do. So anyone else? Yes.
I think that a lot of those things combined, like, the shortened rehearsal period and not being able to be in person and do blocking and touch other people and connect with other people, I think it makes one of the drawbacks is that you can't, as actors, really get into like the text, and you can't really get into the characters, which is something that personally as an actor, I really like doing when I'm working on a show. But there are so many other upsides to this type of media and performance right now, that it's like, it's super accessible. People can watch it from everywhere. We can get together and do something, that it kind of all evens out ultimately.
I agree. I do think it evens out a lot. So
I think
anyone
it's
else?
also, well, I think it's also, I don't know about more difficult, but it's definitely more interesting to have to do a lot more work with your face, because the camera's right there versus the audience is several feet away, and it's like the camera's right there, so it's like, oh, I actually gotta like do more face work. So I don't know, it's just different.
It is different. It has threads of film acting, and we are theater actors, and some of us do film, and some of us have taken certainly film classes, and there's we actually had conversations about this during Merry Wives and during this one about how is this different, yet we don't want to lose all of the training and the work that we did in presenting this as theater actors, that we are theater actors, we are not film actors, some of us maybe film actors, but then in general we are producing this as a theater piece, and yet we do still have to deal with a camera 12 inches from our face. And also where to look, do I look over here so I can see Jillian and Josh, or do I look at the camera and it looks like I'm now looking at everybody? Josh.
Well, and then we never know where anybody's going to actually be from one given rehearsal to another. So
from one scene to the next.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do think though that we do have to. I disagree that we don't create characters so much. I somewhat disagree with that, Jillian, because we still have to make choices that are part of who we're playing, choices that will play with our faces and our voices. So you are still creating a character, just may not be as fully developed as it would be if we were in a regular situation.
Yeah, Josh.
I was going to say on the point about looking certain directions, we can all look a certain direction on our screen and think we're looking in the right spot, but the live stream is based off of Lorianne's screen, which is something completely different. So it'll actually be fun going in and rewatching it and just kind of seeing how things land. And hopefully someday there'll be a platform where we can place people where we need them. But for now, we're making it work.
And it even looks different on the live stream than it looks on my screen. So it's really, as far as that goes, we decided during Merry Wives we weren't going to try to control it because we couldn't, and so it's kind of a crapshoot as to where people end up, but at the same time the work is good and you are connecting with each other through the meetings that you have, and so it looks really good. My husband was watching it on our TV in the family room, and it looks good and sounds good, so that was the end goal of the streaming. So okay, the next question is it what do you think of Helena's trick? Thank you, Juliana. Right or wrong?
It was something I was thinking about a whole lot, even when I heard that Apocalyptic Shakespeare was doing this, and I started doing research on the show and reading summaries and watching online productions. It was it struck me as such a strange story, but I loved that it had such a strong female protagonist, and the fact that she is that she conducts this trick. It isn't something that she's involved with. It's her idea, and whether it be right, I mean, that's debatable depending on how you see the situation. But I think it's really cool that Shakespeare wrote a character with, the drive and commitment to this guy who doesn't really like her, that she's willing to go through anything basically to get him.
And hey, all's well that ends well, so.
This is the third time I've been involved with this show, actually the fourth time. And I found that in each case, the actress playing Helena has a problem with what the trick. She has to find a way to make it work for her, so that it's not so manipulative, if you will.
Yeah, I like your approach to it, Zoe, that it is your idea. You are the one that is doing this to make this happen. You're not a pawn. And I think that does really change the feel of the whole thing. Because it's a troublesome trick. It really is. It can, if not played in a way that comes from the heart of Helena, it's mean. It's manipulative, but what Bertram does is also mean and manipulative. So, it's how you balance that. And I think the approach worked really well.
And she's using his own behavior against him.
Exactly.
This wasn't just pulled out of thin air. This was, I have been done wrong, and you need to take responsibility here. Which I think is, I think that it's a very interesting one. It's the same as, it's weird. It's just like in Measure for Measure. I mean, Isabel does the same thing.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's a trick that Shakespeare uses a lot, actually. Yeah. For all that we don't have a lot of necessarily super strong female characters, he's written more than one play where there is a trick that the woman ends up playing on the man who has wronged her at the end of and it gets revealed at the end of the show. Right. And he's done it many times, so he really likes that technique, I think.
And they didn't have a lot of agency or a lot of options, and so they make use of the options that were given to them, and then move that one step farther. That's
And Bertram's an ass, and he gets his comeuppance. Bottom line, he's an ass, a spoiled one.
But he turns out.
Another question: is it difficult to stay in character in this platform?
No.
Okay.
No, because I think, speaking for myself, everybody that's doing a scene with me is excellent. And so as I'm hearing them put their conviction into the lines, it's really easy to stay connected to it.
Yeah, you still have to listen.
Yeah.
You still have to put yourself in the circumstances. You still have to listen. If you're dropping out, it's the same as dropping out in the middle of a, on a stage in front of 500 people. Don't do it.
Stay engaged.
At the same time, we one night got a note that when we finish our scene, don't just suddenly go, oh.
To stay in character until you get out of, off the stage.
Yeah, but like when you need to switch off your camera, then suddenly it becomes fiddling and not in the scene.
Right.
You have to acquaint yourself with how to turn on, mute, unmute yourself, as well as how you're going to track your script for those who have it on the computers versus printed out. So there are some different elements that are added with the Zoom platform that can make it interesting at times.
Yeah, on the stage, you have to open the door. And we, as actors, I speak for myself too, we open doors in our daily lives, and sometimes on a stage you go, is the door open in or out? I don't know. So, I think that they are equivalent anyway to the challenges that we have.
Yeah, and sometimes we trip over spike marks or carpets that we don't ever trip over in daily life. So it's a whole
barking dog.
Yeah, I have a barking dog. And sometimes, the technical is different, but it's the same kind of concept. It's entrances and exits. It's volume. It's all of those things go along with it. So It has been a unique experience. Not going to be as unique going forward because we've now done it a couple of times. Let's see. Matt Malone asks, how did you perform over Zoom? How did performing over Zoom change your thought about your characterization? Or did it?
Well, it definitely makes a difference in the physicality that you can use. I mean, I know there were several scenes that I did that I would really have liked to have been able to play more with Kim and interact with her more, just because it seems like there's a little bit of a rivalry between the brothers that you can't really do on Zoom because, again, we don't know where each other are. We don't know which way to look. So it changes you that way.
Right.
So
Jillian.
what we had to do instead was during the interrogation, when the first soldier is talking to Parolles and he's saying bad things about the brothers, then we just had to react to what was being said about our brother, which I found hilarious.
Right. Jillian.
They pretty much already said what I was gonna say, where it's like especially if you're playing like a supporting role or a really comedic role, when you're doing it on stage, I know I personally like to rely a lot on physicality and getting to move around and using that as the majority of my characterization. But obviously when you're doing it through Zoom, you can't really do that. So you kind of have to, at least for me, I kind of had to it forced me to think more outside the box, and it forced me to be like, okay, what can I actually do to become this character? What can I do to show people what this character is, and to take up my space on the stage?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh no, it just left me. Shoot, I had a thought. Okay, well, someone else talk because I have a thought on that.
I actually have a question for Alejandro. How was it comparing doing it live on stage versus doing it on Zoom?
Oh my gosh, it was night and day, honestly. It feels weird doing it on Zoom because doing it on stage, there's so much more to it, especially when it came to interrogating Parolles. It felt weird not teasing him with the dagger that I would have, or just messing with him, touching him and stuff and all that, and walking around him and blocking. So it was a bit of a learning curve, but I was able to manage, hopefully.
Yes. The other thing that is interesting about Zoom that I realized is that when you're performing in front of a live audience, part of why we do live theater is feedback. There's no laughter. There's nobody chuckling at your jokes, or when somebody burns Parolles, that they were commenting, which was fantastic. And that's pretty much the same thing. But that's a part of live theater, is being in with an audience that is responding to what you're doing. So chat's not ideal, but it does give us a little bit of that feedback. And I know I'm able to see it, and Josh was able to see it. And it's like, so we're getting some good feedback, but you're the actors and you're not. It's like you land a joke and I giggle, but of course I'm muted, so you can't tell that I'm laughing. How is that for you as performers? Because it is a collaborative art.
It's weird.
It's weird.
I mean, it's weird in general not getting the speech from you or Christine going, now remember, they're gonna laugh at this point.
All right, of course. Kathleen.
I think it must be similar to late night shows that are happening now where there's no audience and they're telling jokes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a comedian without getting laughs, it's kind of like that. But I think at first it's weird, and then you sort of get used to it. And then you just sort of start to get into listening to everybody, and that's good enough.
Awesome. Mike.
That's why they have a laugh track.
On this question, that's specifically where the technology gets in the way.
Yeah.
Because we cannot pick up our cues. There's a certain lag that's built into everything. And so not only are you not waiting for a timing issue in saying your line, but you can't wait for a laugh because you have no idea when the line was actually said, in effect.
Yeah.
And coming in and out is very disruptive. It's hard to really know when to start the scene? Do you start it when the first person comes in, or if you're there and you're not sure if everybody else is there yet, etc.?
Yeah.
So there's always those little hiccups that are built into the technology.
Sure, sure. Another question from Sophia Quant. I hope I pronounced that right. Was it hard to picture the setting in your head?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would bet that everyone pictured something different.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you for the question, Sophia. Sophia's helps with set, and she's an amazing set designer and all that, and builder. So it's so strange because usually you get to see the process of the set being built, and then you can add that into the experience of the show, and that's part of the wonderfulness of live theater, because you can, it's part of the process, seeing the set built and the world come to life. And without that, it's definitely so different. But like for me, I would picture in some scenes where my character might be on the stage, or how close she might be to the audience, or if there was a platform, would she be up there and would she be moving? And so in my mind, there's still some sort of set, but obviously, it's not physically there, but
right.
Different.
Jillian.
I definitely, personally, when I was going through it, I kind of was thinking of it more in like a cinematic way, because when you're doing it on the computer, you don't have, not saying that scenic design is limiting, but obviously with doing a performance on stage comes certain limits and restrictions that you have to apply to your blocking and the actions that the characters take. And so for me, it was almost kind of cooler to be able to picture it in like a more, four complete walls, for like a fully realized environment, because we have that freedom, if we need it, to be able to picture our characters in those kinds of situations throughout the different scenes. I don't know. I think it's cool.
It's interesting, and we hadn't really thought about it, because we considered Zoom our scenic design, our set design, but it could be very interesting to actually create a design so that everyone can visualize the same place.
Well,
hadn't really thought about it.
We are, doing the Much Ado production on Zoom later. We are going to have some kind of setting. I don't know what it will be. What we have noticed in seeing other productions, that sometimes when there is a shared background, that makes it even harder to get into it. If there's too busy, too much set, then you look at the background and not the people. And I think it's a new design platform. And it's all experimental in that sense. What I like about having to give up my thoughts about set is that now we have to really, really depend on the words. In Shakespeare's time, they talked about hearing the play.
Yes.
And because they weren't most of them didn't read or write. So we're used to reading, and our words are written, and we kind of fill that stuff in. But in this instance, I think that we're back to radio play. We listen. So that's what I find the most interesting, is how do we make this come alive with just the words?
Right. Yeah. And it leads into another question of, are the backgrounds green screen, and why doesn't everybody have them? So raise your hand if you're on a virtual background or a green screen. So we have a few. Not everybody has them for a number of reasons. And one of them, for example, I don't have one because my computer cannot handle it. My computer does what Josh's does right now, where I would look like a very scary version of whatever my background is, because it would come through my eyes. And some have very plain backgrounds or orchestrated backgrounds that look fine. And so it is a question, and look, there's the green screen. Thank you, Mike Poe. It is a conversation we continue to have, is like, how uniform do we want the backgrounds? Do we want to actually create a set rendering and provide that for everybody? Is that too overwhelming? they're all things we're going to continue to work on and look at as we go forward with this, because since we all know this is going to go on longer than any of us want it to, we're going to continue to refine our approach and see what comes up, and if virtual backgrounds or if a set background or something is going to work, and we're going to do it. And Ian Clark Darty, does anyone else feel like Zap Brannigan is at least a little bit based on Parolles?
Or Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter.
Or Gilderoy Lockhart. I think there's probably a number at some point that have been based on Parolles. Parolles, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. I mean, as I started working on it, I don't know, Parolles for me is somewhere between Captain Kirk and Larry David. Although the Larry David might just be because I'm Jewish, and
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got a lot of wonderful feedback, comments, energy communicated, but to the audience by this group was exceptional. Looks very good. Joy G commented on Christine's thought about women did not have a lot of options available in that time, and hadn't thought of that. So, and Ian loved your answer, by the way, John. Audience perspective from Joy G, it would benefit from a pause for laughter. We will consider that as we go forward. I will see how that would look. Thank you all. Those are the questions. Cass, do you have anything else to share? Okay. Awesome. Thank you all.
For joining us.
What was that, Josh?
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah. Yes, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. And the support. And Joy G, thank you for the donation. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Joy.
We'll keep going forward. It's after midnight here and I must go, but it's been wonderful. Thank you for all your hard work and lots of comments about how wonderful and how much they enjoyed it. So Cast, off you go.
Bye.